What prompted, you seem very frustrated there, what prompted your exchange with the press secretary?
Yes, thank you, Tucker. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm grateful. You know, the First Amendment protects the freedom of speech, the press, and assembly, and the right to petition your government to seek redress.
Yes.
And that First Amendment says that I have the right to ask questions, to do my job, and the press secretary doesn't need to like me, date me, marry me, have 2 black children with me. She doesn't need all that. She doesn't even need to like my accent, doesn't need to like what I look like, where I come from. They look down on me. They don't respect the First Amendment. And so what has been happening in the White House is, in the past 7 months, I've done all the right things. I've not been called on. I've gone to her office to seek a meeting. She said that she will meet with me next year. I've sent questions about the Nigerian election, about, you know, the problems, challenges in Africa. And they've not called on me, even as the vice president is going to Africa, even as the first lady, Jill Biden, went to Africa, even when they received 50 African leaders for the U.S.-African Summit in Washington, D.C. The guy who covers the White House, the African guy who covers the White House, is looked down upon in the greatest country in the world, in the most advanced country where freedom of speech is protected.
The fact that Jeff Mason and the rest, who should be ashamed of himself, took the White House side against you is really one of the most awful things I've ever seen. I was shocked by it, as cynical as I am, and I appreciate you're coming on tonight. You seem unbowed. Simon Atiba, we are rooting for you. Thank you.
I feel so bad for Simon. I mean, I didn't even hear about this. I didn't even know about this. And like, how many other reporters are not getting called upon to ask their questions for either the country or the state they represent? That's blows my mind that this poor guy, as he said, he does everything right. He's supposed to. He raises his hand all the time, and the press secretary just refuses to answer his questions. And I can't believe, he's even gone to her office to politely ask to schedule a meeting. And she's like, yeah, next year. How does she get away with that? That's crazy. And then he even said, after the vice president goes to Africa, the first lady goes to Africa, and usually this big news, right? If they go to visit another country, you should be answering questions from the reporter who is supposed to be asking questions for their country, which is Africa, for this guy, Simon. And then he said, even, I guess bigger than that, he says that even after they received 50 African leaders for the U.S. African Summit that was held in Washington, D.C., even after that whole thing, he didn't even get a question answered. I mean, he didn't even get to ask a question, never mind get it answered. This guy is a reporter, and he should be getting his questions answered. I can't believe this is allowed to go on.